So excited to introduce my friend William Meers. He is one of the smartest people I know, has always helped me in my business whenever I have challenges in my business. And he is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to sales and marketing. So I'm so excited to have him on.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. It's a real honor to be here, and thanks for having me on. Yeah, it's great.
All right. So, William, tell us a little bit about how you started as an entrepreneur. I know you have a very interesting story.
Oh my goodness. Ever since I was a little kid, I was a Lego builder, and I've always been the kid who would build things out by the numbers. And later on in life, I basically fast forward a little bit. I learned that it's not just sales and marketing for me. It's more about systems and processes. I'm a very big systems guy, which plays its part in terms of having successful long-term sales and marketing campaigns, oddly enough. So I just took my Lego enthusiasm, and now I'm just a big grown-up, let's say a big kid playing with different kinds of blocks, right, in the sales and marketing realm. Yeah. That's
Well, so tell us a little bit about some of your biggest successes that you've had as it relates to business.
Okay. Gosh, when I was, let's see, when I was it 20 years old? 20 years old in Birmingham, Alabama, and I decided to become a life insurance agent. And I grew out a goatee so that I would look a little bit older. I wasn't even of legal drinking age yet, and so it was interesting because everybody was going around. They taught, it was a captive insurance company. They taught us to knock on doors cold. So I got used to the idea of knocking on 10 doors absolutely cold. We're talking strangers' homes. Everybody's like in sales anyway, unless you're just a door knocker. It's like everybody's worst nightmare, right? Every time you knock on that door, your heart's pounding, you're sweating, especially in the summertime in Alabama. That's no fun. And
Well, a lot of entrepreneurs, that's how they started out, was through door-to-door sales. I mean, it's like the worst job you could have because it sucks while you're doing it, but it's a great training to move on to other things. And Mark Cuban, that's how he started out too, was door-to-door sales.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this: I was able to cut my teeth in a way that was interesting because systems and processes fold in. I found out that my company actually did Section 125, which is an IRS tax code section that we were able to go in as an insurance company, kind of like Aflac does for companies, and put insurance on a pre-tax basis, which can save a company like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, depending on how many employees they have. So I got the idea, instead of knocking on individual family houses and doors, I went and knocked on business doors because I
Nice.
figured fish in a barrel, right? You get a business, you got all the employees and everything. And who doesn't take group insurance uh, from their workplace, especially when you're saving the employees money on their paycheck? So I was able to save people a lot of money on their paycheck, save the businesses a lot of money on pre-tax, having it set up through that captive company, and then go in there and they would buy anything and everything insurance coverage wise because they were using tax money that they found money they didn't have, and they would still walk away with a pay increase. So I leveraged that into becoming number one in that company at 20 years old. Yeah,
Wow, that's
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, they put me
And
on their
that's
company trip and all that kind of stuff. It was
And
fun.
that just goes to show it's like thinking outside the box. It's like they're telling you, okay, go to door to door, and go one by one, and then you figured out a way to know. Let me see how I can get one sale that's bigger and do that. And yeah, that's really amazing. Hey, Angela, Good to see you on here. um,
Here's where that gets really interesting. One other side note on that. So they had this application process. Keep in mind, when I was 20 years old, that was 15 years ago. We had these rinky-dink laptops, right? We didn't have the high-tech MacBook Pros and stuff that we got today. And we had this application signing process. It was like kind of like those old e-signature, or not e-signature, but well, yeah, e-signature pads. You use the stylus pen to sign
I
with.
remember those.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we used those, and the thing is like we had several different products to offer. Anytime an employee would come into the lounge and sit down and talk to us about their options and the pay increase they're going to get, we would calculate that for them. And so we had like 6 or 7 different rate sheets. And so based on how someone's age and sex, we were able to tell them, okay, this is what you can get, and these are the rates. But they were on 6 or 7 different sheets, meaning every time I asked someone their age or their birth date, I would have to look it up 6 or 7 different times. There was no one place. And so what I did was I spent a weekend, I made an entire book out of Word doc, by the way, for every age, and listed every single rate for every single product we offered for that age 27, age 28, age 29. So as soon as I found out your age, I would flip to that page. Here's all the rates. And they're like, sign me up. And I'm like,
Nice.
fine. And it was fish in a barrel. It was really, so you learn to systemize and process at every level, not just the door knocking. Yeah. But anyway, I just wanted to add that because I think that was a pretty valuable lesson I learned.
And that's a great point. One thing I've always admired about you is how you systemize and create processes around everything in your business. So at the end of the day, you have a very successful business and you're doing really well. But I know from spending a lot of time with you, you don't work 25 hours a day like a lot of people that I know. You work just the stuff that absolutely requires your actual attention, and the rest of the time you have a lot of free time to do the things that you want to do. So that's something I've always admired about you. I'm pretty good with processes, systems and processes. I don't like to do it, but you're way better than me at it, so I always come to you for advice. So I definitely want to touch on some of that on today, but I know that what we're going to talk about today is the top 5 reasons to sell your clients what they want and how to do it. So can you explain exactly what you mean by that? Because it's kind of it's an interesting title.
Yeah, I kind of did that on purpose. I wanted to pique people's attention and kind of introduce people to a concept that they may not be aware of. If you have an agency, or if you want to start building your own marketing agency, one of the biggest and fastest growing, that shows no signs of slowing, by the way, industries is pay per call. A lot of people might know this from lead generation, or as lead generation, or as pay per lead. But pay per call is where it's at. I mean, uh, just to give you an example, the number one reason, all the major ad networks. So you're talking Google Ads, Facebook Ads, Bing, um, many others, but those three especially drive billions, B with a B, okay, billions of calls a year on each platform, like to
Wow.
local businesses every year in and year out. And the number has grown. I think the last time I saw a number from like 2016, roughly 2017, it was like 26 or 28 billion calls just for the Google Ads network. Yeah, it's
Wow.
ridiculous, and it shows no sign of slowing. So that's reason number one. Um, for those that might not know exactly what pay per call is, it's very simple. You drive a phone call as a marketing company to a local business. That local business takes that phone call and does business with the consumer. So think of yourself as the middleman that makes that connection. And you do that over and over and over again, and you automate that, right, with systems and processes. And you end up with a very duplicable business that just churns out profit as an agency. Plus, it's what your clients really want. It's a proven fact that phone calls, in terms of cost and what someone's willing to pay on a local business side, is worth several times what an email lead, for example, is worth. So I don't even deal in email leads or anything like that. It's mobile only for me, phone calls only, because that's, when you get somebody on the phone, you have an infinitely higher chance of doing business with that person, right? So Yeah.
Exactly. And I got the idea from you because I've been generating. So I've been doing, as far as our company on LinkedIn, we've been setting up appointments. So it's still a phone call. It's not a call where the person's getting on the phone and calling the business in the way that you guys are doing it with Google. But the way that we do it is we connect on LinkedIn and then we schedule the meeting and then we pass it off to the client. So an idea that I also got from you was to, instead of just charge a monthly fee, for some people we just charge for the appointment as well. And those appointment costs can vary depending on what it is. But we started doing that as well on Facebook too, with certain local businesses, as far as just driving calls and then just charging the business for the calls. So you, as the marketing company, have an easier time selling it. People are willing to pay for the results. They're willing to pay for a customer that wants to call them. And also, you, as the local business, you're getting a better deal, I think, because again, you're paying for results. So that's actually a win-win on both sides.
A win on all three. You win, your client wins, and the consumer wins. They get connected to the client gets the business, and you get the client's business. I mean, a hell of a model, right? Hell of a model.
Exactly. So I just want to remind everyone, if you are on social media, like Facebook or anything like that, you want to go to marketing behind closed doors /live if you want to come in live and ask William any questions as we go through today's interview. So, all right, William. So that was reason number one. What would be reason number two? You
Reason
told me
number
there's
two.
five.
Yeah, yeah. Reason number two. Here's a big one. So 70% of all searches done are now mobile. Think about that for a second. The overwhelming majority and growing is now on mobile devices, performing searches, looking for products, looking for services. It's a mobile world now. I don't see that changing anytime soon, and if anything, it's only going to get more so that way, above 70%. I mean, that's super powerful, that number right there.
So all the calls that you guys are driving, it's all on mobile.
Strictly mobile, strictly
Gotcha.
mobile.
Okay.
I do teach how to drive calls from desktop and things like that, but that's not for every vertical. It's vertical specific, if you will. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but home services and emergency services, those are definitely mobile only. Yeah, I mean, think of it as dialing 911. Do you stop and go and find a landline phone, or do you just pick this up? Right? We pick this up, we dial 911, and we get connected immediately, right? So I think of it that way. Like, if your car breaks down, what's to us as the consumer, what is a 911 version of that phone call? It's picking up the phone, searching for a tow company, and oh, look,
Mm-hmm.
I can call somebody, right? That's my 911 for the car problem I'm having on the
Right.
side of the interstate, right? So it works really, really well in those cases, and many others. But yeah, 70% of searches all done on mobile. That's a lot. That's a lot, you know.
And what's reason number three?
So 82% of searches are done using what we call a proximity. So think terms like nearby or near me or closest or close to, right? So we would search for towing company near me or towing company nearby. We want someone that we can connect with right now, right? As disconnected as we can be as a society with social media and all that stuff, we want to be able to at any time use the smartphone to be smart with for us and connect me to a problem solver for that problem right now. And I want that person to be close to me. That way I know I'm not going to have to wait 3 hours on the side of the road. I know he's coming in 45 minutes. He told me that, and then I'm off the phone and I'm sitting there twiddling my thumbs for 45 minutes, posting Instagram, Snapchat, whatever. Car broke down, and then next thing you know, my toe is there. As opposed to the way it used to be. You know, gosh, I grew up in a day and age where you didn't have technology like that at your fingertips. If you broke down, you had to go to a phone, or if you had, or if you had a cell phone, if you were lucky enough to have a suitcase that had a phone in it, right, one of those things, and got signal, you still had to wait a few hours just to get somebody out there. Nowadays, instant gratification, and that's a big deal when people are searching for solutions and problem solvers, products and services near me. Near me is very important. Yeah, proximity.
Gotcha.
Sure.
So what is reason number 4?
So 76% of people that are searching for a business nearby actually end up going to or doing some kind of walk-in or contact, in other words, via phone with that
That's
business.
a really high number. That's a good
Yeah,
conversion rate, I would say.
yeah. So look at this. You've got, I mean, just those stats there. I know throwing out a bunch of numbers, 70% and this is 76. If you look at it and do the math, just simple math, majority of the people are using their mobile, right? The overwhelming majority, even more so, are looking for people nearby. And the majority of those people are all looking for to do business with somebody in that area with high intent. In other words, I call it high intent. So someone has high intent to do business. That's just, and then the last stat to add to that, a third of those people, around 33% or so, end up actually purchasing or buying, right?
Wow.
And that's going to vary, but if that's across all industries, mobile based, I mean, can you imagine? That's just crazy.
And so if you're not being found when somebody is searching for what you do, then you're just losing out on really easy to convert customers. Because another thing I always like to say about search traffic, I've been doing SEO since 2009. Now you work more on the, well, you not more, you work in the Google AdWords pay per call setting. I've worked in the organic for a long time, but as far as like how far somebody is down the funnel of purchasing, they're halfway there. They're doing the search, they're looking at what results come up, and they're going to pick someone on that first page to do business with. And if you're not there, they're not picking you. Whereas any other kind of an advertising that you do, it's still effective, of course,
Yeah.
but you're interrupting the buyer or the prospect is way up here in the funnel where you're just getting them to gain interest and to think about it. Whereas search traffic, they've already got the interest, they've already thought about it, they're going to buy from somebody. It's just a matter of who.
Yeah, I mean, and it gets really interesting when you deal with like emergency type situations. I mean, the example I always use is if for some reason you were bleeding out of your main artery here in the neck, would you care exactly which hospital you go to? If you've
No.
got your finger in the artery, no, right? Like you need that thing sewn up right now, or you're gonna die, right? Like that is a problem. And so I look at industries. I start with industries anyway that deal with that because that's easy to expand out from. When someone has a problem like that, it's not only high intent. It's not only I know they're on mobile. It's not only I know they're looking for somebody nearby because it's an emergency. I also know it's an emergency type service or product or something that's going to solve something that's just a pain in my butt. All these things add, and then most of them end up buying. I mean, that ends up being like the perfect storm, if you will, of how to reach somebody very quick and do business with them. Absolutely.
Okay. So let's get into the how. How do you know what clients want? I mean, we talked about the why, but now let's talk about the how.
Yeah, sure. I spent, gosh, I'm a big believer in market research. I spent a lot of time just talking to local businesses, walking into shops, talking to people over the phone. And as soon as they realize you're actually not there to try to sell them anything, that's the big key there. As soon as they realize that, their guard goes down and they can hear that you're not a telemarketer or you're just trying to sell them some service for something. You find out what their needs really are. And you start at the highest level, and every business needs more business, right? Every business needs more business. You're either growing or you're dying. We all heard that before many times from many different people. Your business is either growing or you're dying. There is no stagnant. If you're stagnant, you're going to die as a business.
You're dying. You're secretly
exactly.
dying a slow death.
Exactly. So I look at that and I say, okay, that's the highest level. You need more business. And I'm like, what's the next level, just the next level down from that drives the business, that connects to the business. And I looked at every type of possible scenario in lead generation. And I'm not saying that emails can't drive a sale, but it takes a lot more of them to do so. And you still have to do what? Pick up the phone and call somebody. You're going to end up on this thing no matter what.
Especially if it's high ticket, anything,
Yeah.
we're talking a few $1,000s, you're going to talk to somebody on the phone for sure.
Or emergency services. I don't.
That too, yeah.
My car's on the side of the road. I'm not submitting an email. I don't care how good the ClickFunnels funnel is, right? I love ClickFunnels and everything, but I don't care how good that thing is. I am not going to sit there and wait for somebody after submitting my email address for them to call me to pick up my car or my truck. That's just not going to happen. So definitely a different mindset, right? But that comes from the market research. And so I did a lot of that, and it helped me understand not only what a client needs, but also what a client wants, and being able to give them both. And a client needs more business. What they want is for it to be as easy as possible, as simple as possible. And the easiest thing they know how to do is pick up a phone when it rings and answer it and say, thanks for calling Papa John's. This is William. How can I help you? Right? That's the easiest thing in the entire sales process for pretty much any business, is picking up the phone. Right? So that's now what they do when they pick up the phone. Sometimes, in my experience, a lot of clients actually need a little bit of help on that, making sure they don't turn business away. I've had calls come in sometimes where, yeah, is this AAA towing? No, this is XYZ towing. They're down the street. Here, you can find their number, or here's their number. Like, no, what are you doing?
You've had people do that?
Yeah, people do that.
Oh my God.
Well, there's a fraction of those people that are specifically looking for AAA towing. Not all of them are, and they're just looking for a towing company. So it's a very easy shift in the conversation, but you'd be surprised how many clients, local businesses don't really take that into account, like that they could grab that business. They don't think they can, and yeah, you actually can.
Let me ask, this is a question from the audience. So is your advice to finding out what people want, walking into stores, or messaging people, calling people to interview them? Or
say that again?
Is your advice to finding out what people want, like kind of like walking into the stores and interviewing them, or calling them, or messaging people online?
Oh yeah.
Or all of the above?
I do it all. Yeah, I do it all. Okay. Anytime I can talk to an office manager or above. So like, think of it as rank. You've got your employee, you've got a management of some level, and then an owner. If I can talk to an office manager and they can see I'm not trying to sell anything, usually they have a wealth of information because they run the show, or at least a part of the show, the front of the house, if you will, where the calls come in, right? So I can glean a lot of information from that person without trying to sell them anything, and know more about my market. The interesting thing about it is, like, the way I do market research, I Google. Yes, I use Google. I do make phone calls, a lot of them, and I do in-person visits if possible, right, when possible. And with those things, what I end up finding out is not just what a business needs or what a business wants. I also find out what keeps them up at night. I'll give you an example. Appliance repair. That vertical has trouble keeping technicians on hand. And, without digging any deeper, you would just think they just have a retention problem, but there's something that causes that problem, right? Something in their systems or processes. Well, come to find out, most appliance repair companies are a cash business. So guess what happens? Techs end up getting what? Sticky fingers.
Oh, okay.
Not all the time, right? The other techs that leave and don't stay with a company go to start their own appliance repair company. They start their own venture because they realize they're not making as much money as they could be if they were taking in the whole piece. So it's either tempting to get sticky fingers, or so the way around that, by the way, is to team them up and partner up with a merchant processor that can actually take care of appliance repair needs specifically. Now, I deliver phone calls for a living, so is that my business? Is merchant processing my business? No. But as a good marketer and as a good marketing agency, if I want to take care of my client and help them grow their business so that they can take more of my phone calls, right? It'd probably be a good idea to hook them up with a referral to the best appliance repair merchant processor there is, and have them where they've got, electronic pads or even phones where there's no longer any cash changing hands. It's all electronics, all card based, low fees, good approval rates, that kind of thing. That's what turns a business's in appliance repair retention from 30-40% attrition rate, in other words, people they're losing, down to like 10. right? And when you can do that, now they can scale out because they can keep more techs in longer, more tech guys out in the field working longer. That means they can take more of my phone calls. They can take more of my phone calls. Everybody wins.
Right. So let me ask you this, because you mentioned, this is how you do market research. So is this strictly for market research before you go into your sales process, or are you using the market research as a sales process itself? Because you mentioned that they are giving you all this information, you're interviewing them, you're not trying to sell them anything, but you do have a service to offer them.
I do, and that's a great question, by the way. Here's the best way I can explain it, and everybody has a different school of thought on this. Can I sell those people? Yes. In fact, usually when I do market research, I do it well enough to a point where after my second or third call in, I'm using industry language. I'm saying what they say. They're confused. They don't know if I'm a marketing company or if I'm another appliance repair company that's trying to give them more business. When you reach that level of where they can't differentiate you from themselves, you're on the right track. But I don't sell to those people. Even if they beg me, I tell them, give me some time. I'm expanding into the market. Let me call you back. Okay. I want to do this right. We want to do right by you.
The takeaway close. No, okay.
Yeah. And even if the thing is, the way I look at it, even if I don't get the business, all the information that I have for when I do start prospecting, I'm no longer a telemarketer. I'm no longer a marketing company. I'm no longer a sales guy. I'm a guy in appliance repair, or I'm a guy in HVAC. I know that you guys are looking in HVAC, you're looking for installs. That's the big money jobs right there for you. If I start to, and by the way, they call it an install. So I know the jargon. I know that's where the big money is. I know that repairs just kind of keep the lights on, but installs is where you make big, big money, right? I also know your seasons. I know everything. And when I know, not everything, but when I know enough about your market and I speak to you as an HVAC business owner who's been in the business 10, 15, 20, 30 years, 50 years, family owned, I come across much more like HVAC is what I do. This is what I drive phone calls for people looking for installs and repair for HVAC. And when you're able to position yourself in that way, I don't care if I make 20 calls on market research and don't ever pick up any of that business, because I know the information from that on my next 20 calls, my prospecting calls on those 20, I'm going to get clients, no problem.
Gotcha.
So I keep them separate. Yeah.
Okay. So your first step is market research. So what's next after that?
Prospecting. Prospecting is where the rubber meets the road. You now know your market. You know what keeps them up at night. You know what you can deliver to them. You know what they want delivered to them, which is more business. And by way of phone calls, you start prospecting. And yeah, that's an interesting topic. You have a lot of people have challenges with prospecting. They think that, oh, I got to go cold call a bunch of people, and the only cold call I ever make is market research. I've got systems and processes in place to where potential prospects call me.
Let's talk about that. How do you get that to happen?
Yeah,
and by the way, and anybody watching on social media, make sure you go to marketingbehindcloseddoors.com/live. So you can join us on the Zoom, and then you can ask William any questions that you want. We can actually unmute you, and then you can ask your questions live if you have any questions. So anyways, William, go ahead.
Yeah, so people calling me. This has been around for a long, long time, actually. The services that I've been using have been around, very, very popular since, I would say, like the mid-'90s, maybe even before then. And I've got a couple of really good sources for that. But the idea is ringless voicemail and voice broadcasting. That's what I use. I also use email. There's an email template that I use that drives interest. And usually when somebody responds back via email saying, yes, I'm interested, I need more business, instead of emailing them back again, trying to pitch them, I pick this thing up and I call them, because all we're doing is continuing the conversation, just in a different channel. So I may start on Facebook Messenger with someone, but then I end up calling them saying, if somebody invites me to a party, for example, on Facebook Messenger, but I've got a challenge with the time or something, I may not feel like typing it all out, right? I may just call up my friend and say, hey, what time is it? Okay, because we can speak, as humans, we can speak, what is it, 160 words a minute? 160 words a minute we can speak and comprehend, 160 words a minute. How fast can we type? what's the like fastest typer in the world? Like 80,
Uh,
90 words per minute
I was
max.
gonna say, I think I'm at like 50 or 60
The
myself.
average is going to be 40, 50, yeah, words per minute, where I can speak 160, 180, and you're going to comprehend every single bit of that and respond back to me instantly. That's that's power right there. That's several times powerful, right? Just out of the gate. But ringless voicemail, voice broadcasting, those are the tools that I use along with email to get people to say, yes, I need more business right now, and have a conversation with them. I ask them some qualifying questions. I've got a very straightforward script that I use that's proven time and time again. It's pulled in tons and tons of money, tons of clients, not just for me, but for everybody I've ever taught with the thing over the last several years. And it works very well. I mean, I don't ever have to cold call ever.
So you use a voice broadcast to broadcast it out, and the ones that are interested will call you back. And then once you're on the phone, let's talk about the sales process a little bit, because I know you're very good at this, and that's really where most people fall apart. I mean, let's be real. So
It's a critical point. You're right. You're absolutely
yeah.
right. Yeah. So the sales process is very straightforward. I mean, I ask a very important question when selling phone calls. And keep in mind, notice I don't say the word lead generation or the word lead. Why do I not say that? To me, it's like it's a bad word.
Mm.
I use curse words all the time. I won't use any here, I don't think.
Thank you.
But yeah, but just to be respectful, right? But you know me in my private life, because we're buddies, and I curse a lot. But to me, the curse word is the word lead. I can't. Oh, because I sell phone calls, and that's much more valuable than any kind of lead that you could ever buy from someone else. And when I sell phone calls, the first question I always ask is, hey, I've got calls coming in for people that need help with HVAC install and repair. Tell me, do you need more business right now? That's my
Mm.
question, and it's a yes or a no.
Yeah.
If somebody's wishy-washy about it, I'm going to pin them down on a yes or a no, because you either want more business or need it, or you don't. And if you don't, I'm on to the next person. I don't waste my time on the phone with someone who's not going to be serious about what I have to offer. Now, when
Yeah.
I'm on the phone, my initial your initial 3 to 5 seconds is very important. Keep in mind, people are calling me, so think of calling a pizza joint. When you call like Domino's or Papa John's, and some of you might want to go and do this when we're done with this call, but call them up and listen to how they answer the phone. Do they sound happy and cheerful and bright? And no, they don't. They're in the middle of probably making 10 pizzas and wings and some, breadstick thing or whatever. They pick up the phone, and used to be in the old days, we had to do this with the phone, right? I don't know what they do now. They probably just do speakerphone, but we used to have to do this. And so they would say something along the lines of, and keep in mind, it's all tonal pattern based, right? So it's going to sound something like this. Thanks for calling Papa John's. This is William. How can I help you?
Yeah, like really rushed and everything.
Almost like, yeah, almost like I don't have time for your BS. What do you want? so,
Hurry up
so
and place your order.
Right. So when I answer the phone that way, I'm not totally mean about it, but I'm to a point where, okay, this guy is clearly not got a lot of time. Let me get straight to the point. Yeah, I got a phone call from you. They may not have even listened to my voicemail. Okay, no problem. I still ask them the same question. Yes, I've got live phone calls coming in for people every day looking for installs and repair on HVAC. They need help. These calls have to go somewhere. They got to go somewhere today. Tell me, do you need more business right now? And it's just straight to the point. How long was that pitch? That pitch is what,
10
maybe 20
seconds, maybe?
seconds,
Yeah.
30
Sure.
seconds at most, right? And then if it's a yes, I say great. Just like that, I say great. I don't go great, or awesome. I great. Just a couple quick questions I want to ask you, and I start asking qualifying questions. How many texts do you have roughly? Notice I said roughly. I make it sound not interrogative, but friendly, almost like we're having a, you know, how many dresses do you own? How many pairs of shoes do you own? As opposed to how many pairs of dresses do you own? That's just like, it's too forceful, and you get people to open up by asking questions in a very not nonchalant way, because you do care, you are on point, but in a very friendly way. So I use phrases like share with me, tell me a little bit about, just a ballpark, right?
Mhm.
Roughly.
Those are
just to get
great.
an idea. There's so
Yeah.
many different phrases you can say that we say in everyday language when we're talking to friends that friends open up. And so when you say, just trying to get an idea, that's all. When you ask something like, what was your revenue last year? Man, that sounds very, where were you between the hours of 2 and 4, right? That's a very personal question. You don't want to ask it like that. And so you say, and just so I can get an idea, and again, just a ballpark, what was your revenue like last year? You just ask it straight out where it sounds like you're not digging to pin them down on some answer. Well, you said it was 500,000 a year. No. I'm just trying to get an idea of who I'm talking with. Oh, you've
Yeah.
got 6 techs out in the field. Okay, great. That's good. Do you have plans to expand to more? Yeah, we're getting 2 or 3 trucks. What does that tell me? That tells me this guy's ready to grow. Is he going to be able to take most of, if not all of my phone calls? Absolutely. I'm talking to a qualified prospect after I get through my qualifying questions. So I
Mm.
ask those questions. I'm very friendly about it. If it's a fit, if sometimes it's not, and I say, hey, listen, it's been great talking to you. I just don't think we're going to be a fit. And I
Right.
have told people that before, potential prospects. You might think I'm crazy, but I'd much rather take clients that are going to be uh, good clients, I guess is the
That are
best
going
way.
to be a pleasure to work with and that can handle the business, because if they can't handle the business, you're going to waste your time setting up the campaigns only then to pause them.
That's exactly right. You got to work with people that can handle what we call the volume, the call volume. I get some people, by the way, that try to throw you off of the script. Well, how much is this going to cost? Right? And I always fire back. Well, that depends on the kind of volume you're talking. I mean, I can drive phone calls to you. That's not a question. How many can you handle? I fire right back at them with a question, and it kind of puts them back in their place. I'm not shoving them more than I am just saying, hey, this is your space. This is my space.
Hmm.
Let's keep it friendly, right? And telemarketers don't do that. Telemarketers get walked all over. They get hung up on. They get cursed out, and they move on to the next phone call. Not me. I spend the time, I spend the focus and explain to them exactly what it is that I have that needs to go somewhere. Notice there's urgency. These phone calls they're coming in every day. They got to go somewhere. When? Right now. And so when I do that, is it their problem? No, it's my problem. But I'm looking for that one person to solve that problem. Are you that person when I'm on the phone with you? You've got 26 techs on the road. You're looking to expand. You cover such and such counties. You've got service hours 24/7. You can do emergency calls. You've got a dispatch. You've got all the qualifications. So the next thing I'm going to say to you, if you're a fit like that, I'm going to say something along the lines of, great. Well, based on what we've covered so far, I think you'd be a perfect fit to be able to take care of these live phone calls that are coming in every day. So let's do this. Let's do, and notice I'm looking up and I'm thinking, I'm not actually thinking. I already know the price and the deposit I'm going to ask for, and it's a small amount. So let's do 20 calls at $30 a piece. That's $600, and that's going to give us a chance to try each other out and see how we do together over the next 10, 20, 30 years. Looking forward to doing business with you like that. What do you say? And then, of course, the first answer is always what? No matter what, it's always what?
I have to think about it, or
It's a no. 100% knee jerk reaction, no. Because they what? They
they
don't
don't
know
trust you
me.
yet.
They don't trust me yet. I've got something, and I sound like I've got the ace up my sleeve, but they don't know me. They don't trust me like that. So what do I have to overcome with that? The know, like, and trust, right? Well, that comes through some objection handling, and depending on what they say, whether it's I need to think about it, send me some information. There's so many different ways to handle those. I can give you a few now. Um, for example, if somebody says, "Send me some information," I say, I'd be more than happy to send you any information you want, Mr. Client. Tell me what it is that you're looking for information on, and I'll send that right over. And then they're going to tell me, well, I'm not exactly sure how your process works. Like, how do you deliver the phone calls, right? And
Hmm.
so, and now I'm back in the conversation. I haven't left the phone call. I'm still on the phone, right? And I keep them on the phone and walk them through that process. I also have an agency website that I've templated and systemized to where there's live call recordings on there that are targeted to the industry that I'm going after. where if I direct somebody to that website, they can not only, and it's ClickFunnels, by the way, a ClickFunnels website, let's say, they can not only listen to these call recordings and find out more information about me and see that I at least have a website, but they'll also see the option to start up with me on a small deposit, right? And so the reason, no matter what the excuse is for whether they got to talk to a partner, a wife, if they got to talk to their dog, if they got to think about it, if they need more information, I walk them through that process over the phone and get the business. Do I always get the business? No, but do I get the business from the people who are ready to move right now? Yes, I do. I always
So
do.
we've got a couple of questions from the audience. So Chris asks, do you exclusively only sell calls and are you only focused on local businesses?
So yeah, that's a good question. Let's handle the first one. Exclusive calls, 100%. There are so many different lead providers out there that resell calls and they don't do exclusivity on the call. And I got to say, it's ruining the industry. The good news is, for the people that I teach and the people that I work with and my own agency, when we sell phone calls, it's exclusive. It's live, exclusive, direct connect to the local business owner. There's no reselling of leads. There's no fighting over being number 5 or number 6 on a phone call or a lead, if you will. It is direct to you. You are the only one that gets that call, and so it's worth way more. The second question is, do I only focus on local business? My answer is my primary focus is on local business. There is another alternative. You can do what's called pay-per-call affiliate marketing. So for those of you that are affiliate marketers, there's actually an option for you to do pay-per-call through the affiliate platforms that are out there. The funny thing about affiliate marketing is their clients on the other end receiving those phone calls, guess who they are? The local businesses, right?
Yeah.
And usually, historically anyway, the payouts are a lot lower than what you could actually do if you just went out and got the client yourself. So that's why I teach things like have your prospects call you so you don't have to cold call. Streamline and make that sales process as easy as possible so that you can take in several 100% more per call profit than what you would get just going direct to an affiliate marketing company for pay-per-call. Yeah.
Okay. And so, guys, we have only about 5 minutes left. So, anyone here who wants to jump in on the conversation and chat with William or ask any questions, please make sure you let us know.
Cool.
So, you're like, what? No,
Where
kidding.
did the time go? 5 minutes. I'm looking at the clock. I'm like, wow, 5 minutes.
Yeah, we're down to 5 minutes. So, before I asked you those questions, you were talking about when you get to the close and how you handle objections. So, can you talk about a few more objections and how you handle them? Because I always find this part of the sales process fascinating because this is what makes or breaks the sale, really, if you think about it.
Even bigger than the objections, like you get objections like I've been burned before because they've done business with someone like Home
I get that one all the
Advisor.
time.
Right. They got burned because they put money in, and usually it's to the tune of thousands of dollars. And see, I only do deposits under $1,000. I don't do anything big initially because I want to show them the quality I can drive. And then now that I've got them hooked, just like I hate using this analogy, but it's true. Just like a drug dealer would, give them a little taste. That's what I hear anyway. And they're going to keep coming back, right? And so that's what I want in the business. I want to show them the value, and then they're going to come back for life. But even more importantly than objections, I would say is going to be actually collecting the money over the phone. I can't tell you how many times I've worked with people where they're on the phone, they get somebody say, okay, yes, let's do it, and instead of doing it, walking someone through the process over the phone, like, okay, click on this link, now you're gonna and walk them through ClickFunnels to actually type in their payment information and go to a thank you page, which you can do that, and it works very well. But most people don't ask. They don't ask and collect, is what I call it. Ask and collect. That's probably the biggest hang up, if you will, in the sales process is people get to the pitch and they can't figure out why they're not closing. I'll send you an invoice. I'll send you an email. People are doing that to brush off, right? Only the really, truly serious people are going to be willing to pay you that small deposit up front right now. And you've got to, the only way to know that is to walk them through that process. Um, you've got, you've got, uh, when you walk someone through that process, by the way, and you ask for the money, you don't just ask for the money once. Remember, I told you at the beginning of the script, we ask the qualifying questions, we instantly ask for the business, and we know the answer is going to be no. Okay, well, if we know it's already going to be a no the first time, we've already asked once, we got to ask how many times at least? Two, right? Well,
I was
on
gonna say
average,
3, but
right. See, yeah, exactly. Now you're thinking on average, it's more like 3, 4, 5 times you have to ask for the money before you get it. And that's where a lot of people fall short. They don't ask for the money enough. They don't ask for the money enough without being pressured, or how do I say this, high pressure sales tactics or anything like that. You lay out what you have, you address their concerns, and come back to, that's why we start with a small deposit. We're trying to grow with you. We're trying to do business over the next 10, 20, 30 years together. I'm not trying to pick you up as a client, take thousands of dollars from you today, and then you never see me or hear from me again. I'm trying to do business with you in an ethical way where we do a small deposit. Let me show you what I can deliver. And then we go from there. We build up from there, because now we have the trust. You know, I can deliver the goods. You know, I know you paid for them, and we just build on that. And I'd say the sales process is probably the biggest hangups are making sure you're talking to a qualified person and asking for the money enough and walking people through the sales process. 100%.
gotcha. Well, William, that is all the time that we have for today. Thank you for these golden nuggets. I feel like the time went by so fast.
It did. It did. Yeah, thanks for
um,
having me.
yeah. So one last question I always like to ask everyone, because I
Shoot.
love to read and I think it's a great way to grow and to learn. What book would you recommend? What's your favorite book that just taught you a lot, whether it's about life or about business, that you would
Oh my
recommend to our
gosh.
viewers?
Give me 1 second. Let me look. Hold on. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can find it. Where's it at? Where's it at? Okay. This is a rare book. It's not, well, I say rare. It's not well known. Let's say that. So, and it's this book is solid gold. Um, it costs more than a normal book costs. Like, what would you think a normal book price is? I'm just
About
gonna,
$20.
right. Last time I looked, I think this was over 100. I think it was like
Wow.
150 or something, 170. I
That's a
don't
lot
know.
for a book.
You can find it on Amazon, right? But it is I say expensive. It's not expensive. It's totally worth thousands of times that money. Um, it's worth so much I put my name on it. I mean, anyway, the book is 177 Mental Toughness Secrets of the World Class by Steve Siebold. This is one of the guys who was actually on the uh, I believe The Secret, and also the panel that they did after the first Secret movie. He was on the expert panel, and I got to tell you, and I've seen this guy in person. I've had a picture taken with him. I don't know what I did with the picture, but this guy is like my hero. You got to get this book, and I know it costs more than the average book, but I'm telling you right now, like, this guy studied, basically, here's the story. He's a pro tennis, or not a pro tennis guy, a tennis coach, I believe. And he spent 30 plus years interviewing the top successes in all fields and finding out what drives them, what motivates them, and makes them world class level versus like the average or the mediocre, right? And gives you the differences and real world examples and how you can apply it today. Like, it's
Oh,
not
that's
some
cool.
theory or white paper or some feel good book. It's like, this is a life instruction manual. This is really slick right here. Love that book. So yeah, that's my recommendation.
Awesome. I'll have to check it out. Well, William, thank you so much for your time today. And anybody that wants to get a hold of William, will have a link right below this interview that you can click and find out more information about how you can work with William, and also how you can drive more calls to your business or learn how to do that as a service for other businesses. So thanks so much. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.